Good morning students. Welcome to today's class. Today I am going to commence from the topic which we have discussed earlier. That was about the observation related to the shapes of some unicellular organism. I hope you remember that activity. That was activity 7.1 and it was given in the page number 123. Let me just revise that topic again before I commence today's class. That was about the observation related to the shapes of some unicellular organism, where we have seen that amoeba. I am going to draw this diagram again. Amoeba, which is a unicellular organism, is having an irregular shape, whereas Paramecium is having a shape similar to a sleeper. Then we had yeast. So basically we are having three different shapes in three different unicellular organisms. Let me draw some more shapes. You have to draw this diagram into your notebooks. Here I have drawn some diagrams. I think you will be able to identify these things. This is a amoeba, this is a paramecium, this is yeast, this is a RBC. Now here I am not able to draw it on a two dimension, that what is the actual shape of RBC, but it is actually a biconcave shape. Let me give you an example that how does RBC looks like. Take a clay you use for making things and just round it up and put a dent on the center of the clay from both of the side. That is the structure of RBC. So RBC a biconcave shape. Then here I am having a spindle shape. This is a smooth muscle cell. I think this you definitely know that this is a neuron, and this is a guard cell which is found in the stomata. So these are the different shapes of the cell. Now, why all these cells are different from each other? Why they are not having same shape? And does this shape actually denote to something? Is it related to the function? Yes, definitely this is related to the function of the cell. The different shape contributes to the function of the cell. How? Let's check. Now first I am going to discuss about amoeba. Amoeba is not having any shape. It is just an irregular shape. So why it is having an irregular shape? Since amoeba is a unicellular organism and it does not have any other thing to move or take its food, so it uses this irregular shape, this finger-like projection. And what is this finger-like projection called? Yes, pseudopodia. Now all these things are something which we have already discussed in class 7. This is not something new. I am just taking that example and providing some new information. So pseudopodia, why this is called pseudopodia? Pseudo means false and podia means feet. So it is pseudopodia, false feet. Now what is false feet? This finger-like projections means these things which are protruding from the cell is like a finger. So these finger-like projection is called pseudopodia, means false feet. So it is not having a proper feet, but these finger-like projection is actually helping it as a feet. It means it is helping in the movement. So the irregular shape the amoeba has is helping it to move from one place to another, plus to take up the food from any source. Now, why the biconcave shape of the RBC is there? RBC, I have told you that it is actually circular shape and it is having dent on both of the sides. Let's look into one more example, that is of RBC. As I've already told you that RBC is having a biconcave shape. Biconcave shape means it is spherical in shape and it is having dent on both of the sides in the center. So due to this shape, it is having more surface area, and more surface area means what is the function of RBC? Yes, the function of RBC is to absorb oxygen. So more surface area means more oxygen which it can transport to the various parts of the body. So this shape of RBC helps it to have more surface area, which is equal to more absorption of oxygen. So here you can see some more examples. This is not only few examples, there are much more examples, but I have taken some few examples which will definitely come across as you're studying about the chapter cell. Here you can see this cell is a spindle shape and this is a smooth muscle cell. Smooth muscle cell is associated with involuntary function. Involuntary means those functions which you cannot control. So this is having this shape. For that, then you know this is neuron or the nerve cell, and this shape helps it to attach to more neurons and form a network from which the signal is passed to the brain and to the body parts, vice versa. So the shape of the cell is associated with the function of the cell. There are so many different shapes of the cell. Sometimes they are irregular, sometimes the shape is fixed, but all of this is associated with the function they perform. So the shape of the cell is related to the function of the cell. Shape is equal to function of the cell. So this is about the shape of the cell. Let's look into the size of the cell. Are all the cells of same size? As we have seen, they are different in number, they are different in shape. So are they different in the size also? Yes, definitely. Let me give you an example in the next topic. So now let's discuss the size of the cell. The organism, that is the living organism, can exist in different size. They are very small organism, whereas there are some very large organisms like elephant, blue whale. So definitely the number of the cell are different in all of them. Some are unicellular, some are multicellular, whereas there will be less number of cells in a small organism and there will be more number of cells in a large organism. Like for a case, the human body consists some trillions of cells. So definitely the number of cells are more in a larger body. But what about the size of the cell? Are the size of the cell is also related to that? Definitely not. It is not necessary that a small organism may not have a large cell, whereas a larger animal may have a smaller cell. Therefore, the size of the cell does not depend upon the size of the organism. So, but how can we measure the size of the cell? As we know that cell is very small that you cannot see by naked eyes, and we use microscope to see the cells. So how can we know that what is the size of a particular cell, or whether this cell is smaller and this cell is larger? For that there is a measurement, and that is micrometer, which is denoted by this. Then micrometer is when we compare micrometer with millimeter or meter, how can we understand that? Because generally the standards of measurements which we use, the units of measurements which we use is meter, centimeter and millimeter. We can easily understand when the things are measured in these units. So what about micrometer? How can we understand the size of the cell through micrometers? So 1 micrometer is actually equal to 1 by 1000 millimeter. So you can also say that 1 micrometer is equal to 10 raised to minus 3 millimeter or 10 raised to minus 6 meter. So this is how the comparison can be done. And there are various cells which are very small, whereas there are various cells which are quite large. For example, the largest cell that is found till now is an ostrich egg. Let me write that on the blackboard so that you will be able to understand in a much better way. Let's see which is the largest cell and which is the smallest cell. As I just told you, that largest cell is the ostrich egg. Ostrich egg is the largest cell. Now, let me give you a comparison of this. If you are vegetarian or if you love egg, then definitely you would love to eat omelets, and many of us love to eat omelette. If you are using a ostrich egg, you can make 13 omelets from it. So you can just imagine that this egg is so large. And which is the smallest cell? Smallest cell is mycoplasma. Mycoplasma, which is also called as PPLO. Now what is PPLO? Pleuropneumonia like organism. So if it is asked that which is the largest cell, that is ostrich egg, which is the smallest cell, that is mycoplasma. Even if you are writing PPLO, then also it is correct. What about human body? Which is the largest cell in the human body and which is the smallest cell in the human body? I'll give you a hint. Give me the answer of this question. The diagram I just made before this topic about the various cell, the answer is hidden in that diagram. Just find out which is the largest cell in human body and which is the smallest cell in the human body. I've already given you a hint. So this is all about the shape, size and number of the cell. According to the number of the cell an organism may have, organism is divided into unicellular and multicellular organism. Whereas according to the shape, there are different type of shapes that can be seen in the cell, and all this is related to the function they perform. So the shape of the cell is related to the function of the cell. Whereas size of the cell may occur in various sizes, and these sizes have nothing to do with the body of the organism they are present in. The size may be larger in a smaller organism, or larger organism may contain a smaller cell. So let's move to the next topic. Before that, we are going to discuss about an activity. That activity is about how the cell looks like. So I will continue with that activity. So till now we have discussed that cell is a basic unit of life. Basic means very important. So this basic unit of life may exist in different shape, size and number that we have already discussed. But what about the structure of the cell? How the cell looks like and how does it able to perform the function which is needed for its survival? For that, I will first discuss an activity. This activity is activity number 2. Activity 7.2. The aim of the activity is to observe structure of single cell, that is a hen's egg. Now the egg is a single cell, so we are going to study the structure of that only. So what do you need for materials? We need an egg, hen's egg, Now what you have to do in this activity, that you have to take hen's egg and you have to boil it. After boiling it, once it is cooled down, just remove the shell from the egg, which I think you people must have done number of times. Just remove the shell of the egg and just cut it into half. So what you are going to see, I am going to draw the diagram under observation. What you are going to see in that, the egg of the hen looks like this. So what happens when you boil it and when you cut it, it becomes quite hard. So when you cut it, you see this kind of structure in it. There is a yellow part inside it, which is circular in shape, and there is complete white part of the egg like this. Even if you have taken an egg which is not boiled and just break it, you will find a jelly kind of substance which is quite translucent, and the yellow yolk. So that is the structure of the cell. Here, this white part of the cell is actually egg albumin. And this yellow part of this egg is egg yolk. So this egg albumin is actually the cytoplasm of the cell, and this egg yolk is actually the nucleus of the cell. So I am writing that down, that here in this egg or in any egg, albumin is the cytoplasm, whereas the yolk is the nucleus. So what we have understood from this activity is that how the cell looks like. This is the basic structure of the cell. Any cell will have three main components, that is cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. Now we are going to discuss that in detail. So now let's see the structure of the cell. Structure of a cell. Now if you look into your book, you will find there are two different type of cells which is made into the book. I am going to draw the diagram of the cell over here. You can tell me which cell is this, a plant cell or an animal cell. So here I have drawn a diagram. This is a plant cell. How you can identify that this is a plant cell? By having, this is having two membranes. Both of the membranes are different. We'll discuss that also. But here I just want to tell you first about the main components of the cell. Now if you look into this cell or any other cell or just an egg we have discussed now, there are three main components of the cell. So the cell main components are main components, means main parts. What are the main parts of the cell? There are three main parts of the cell. One is cell membrane, second cytoplasm, third nucleus. So basically there are three main components of the cell which will be present in each and every cell. The cell may differ into many other things, but these three things, that is cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, will be there in each and every cell. Therefore they are called as main components, and since they are main components, their functions are very important and they are important for the survival of the cell. If any of this is disturbed, definitely that will disturb the survival of the cell. We are going to discuss about each and every component, how it looks like and what is the function in a detailed manner. First I will touch about the cell membrane. But before I move into that topic, let's see where are these parts present in the cell. For example, the cell membrane. Cell membrane is the outermost part of the cell. Means the layer of the cell or the covering of the cell is cell membrane. So here, since it is a plant cell, it is having a cell wall outside. So this one is the cell membrane. So the outermost covering in the plant cell is the cell wall, which is this cell wall is actually additional layer which is present in fungi, which is present in the plants, that is important parts of the plants. But cell membrane is present in every cell. Then there is cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is present just after the cell membrane, means all this jelly-like fluid which is present inside the cell is cytoplasm. And what about nucleus? Nucleus is this dense dark circular structure. This is called the nucleus. So these are the three main components of the cell, or I just draw a simple diagram showing you a cell over here, that this is the cell membrane, this the jelly-like fluid which is present here is the cytoplasm, and this is the nucleus. The center dark dense spherical structure is the nucleus. All of these components are very important, and how they are important, let's discuss that. Now let's discuss the main components of the cell. The first one is cell membrane. Cell membrane is very important. As you know that it is the outermost layer. This is a covering of the cell. Therefore, it is very important. The shape of the cell is due to cell membrane. And not only that, it just separates the one cell from the other cell. So, that's why it is very important. What is the structure of cell membrane? Cell membrane, which you have just seen, that if a cell is like this, this is the cell membrane. So this cell membrane is actually selectively permeable membrane. Now what is meant by selectively permeable membrane? When we take a membrane, it may allow something to pass through it, or it may not allow anything to pass through it. So let's look into the function of the cell membrane. Cell membrane covers and gives shape to the cell. It separates one cell from another. It helps in transportation of substances, through the cell. So basically cell membrane is very important. In case if cell membrane ruptures or break down, it will not let the cell survive. So the cell membrane is very important. The other main component of the cell is the cytoplasm. Means between the nucleus and the cell membrane there is a jelly-like fluid present, and this jelly-like fluid is called cytoplasm. So the next main component of the cell is nucleus. Nucleus is the dense dark circular structure which is present almost in the center of the cell, but in plants it is pushed to the periphery by vacuole. So what is this nucleus and what is the function of the nucleus? If we see nucleus, nucleus has its own structure. Nucleus also has a membrane which is called nuclear membrane. It has cytoplasm kind of thing which is called nucleoplasm, and there is genetic material, that is chromatin material, which is present in the nucleus, which converts into chromosome while doing the process of cell division. That you have to study in your next class in detail, but let us discuss about the how is the nucleus. Nucleus is actually made up of chromatin material, during division chromatin material forms into chromosomes. Means this kind of structure of thread-like structure is converted into chromosomes. And these chromosomes are actually made up of DNA. Chromosomes is made up of DNA. What is DNA? Yes, deoxyribonucleic acid. You will write the full form of DNA into your notebooks. So the functional part of DNA is called genes. These are the genes which transfer the important characters from one person to another person. So that structure of the nucleus is like this. What is the function of the nucleus? What role does nucleus play in the cell? Let's discuss about that also. So let's discuss the function of nucleus. So nucleus is the control center of the cell. As it is said that it is brain of the cell. So nucleus can be called as control center or brain of the cell. So nucleus is called the control center or brain of the cell. Now why you think it will be called as brain of the cell? What does your brain do? Yes, it controls and coordinates the body activities. Similarly, the nucleus does the same thing. It controls and coordinates the activities which is happening inside the cell. So it makes sure that every part of the cell is performing its function properly and everything is coordinated properly. So you can say that it is controlling the activities of the cell and it is coordinating the activities of the cell. Apart from that, so the controls and coordinates the activities of the cell. It helps in the cell division. The second point of the function is it helps in cell division, and very important, it helps to transmit the important characters from one generation to another generation. So you can say it passes the hereditary traits from one person to another. From one generation to other generation. So this is all about the nucleus. As you have seen how the nucleus look like. Nucleus has a nuclear membrane, and inside it is the nucleolus, and in that are thread-like structure which is called as chromatin material. So this is about the nucleus. The third important component of the cell is cytoplasm. Let's see how does cytoplasm look like. The third main component of the cell is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the jelly-like fluid which is present between the nucleus and the cell membrane. The cytoplasm is consist of sugar, salts, proteins, and small cell organelles which performs various functions. So basically you can say that the cytoplasm which is present here is consist of small cellular organelles, means all those part of the cell which perform individual functions like transportation and everything. So this is all about the main components of the cell. So there are basically three main components of the cell: cell membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. We will discuss about the cell organelles.